epitomized the golden age of Hollywood. At the ripe young age of 19, she sang and danced her way into America's heart.
What a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Joining us now from Los Angeles with more, Harvey Levin, the executive producer of TMZ, which broke the very, very sad news. Harvey, I'm seeing a lot of you, brother. It's good talking to you, but, you know, this stuff is heartbreaking, especially last night. I'm at dinner, and I hear, what, Debbie Reynolds died 24 hours after Carrie Fisher passes? What's going on, man?
I got to tell you, when we first found out that she had the stroke, because we knew that an ambulance had come to Todd's house, her son's house, we just thought, oh my God, could this possibly be happening again? And I have to tell you, Eric, we've covered a lot of deaths over the years at TMZ, and this year especially. I was really surprised at the level of intense interest on this story. Debbie Reynolds was a huge star. She's also, 84 years old. And a lot of times when older people pass, the younger people, especially our site, which tends to be younger, that it resonates, but not profoundly. This resonated profoundly. The interest on social media, on our social media, as well as the site, was incredible, and I think part of it obviously is just this almost Shakespearean drama that played out where, Carrie dies and then Debbie dies. But Debbie was a big star in her own right. We are now hearing that they are talking about doing a mother-daughter funeral, a dual funeral, where the family doesn't have to go through this multiple times, and it just seems fitting, which will be honestly, one of the biggest, most emotional Hollywood events in memory.
I can't imagine how emotional that would be if it's a mother-daughter funeral. Harvey, it's a cliche, but, you have to look at it. Did she die? Did Debbie Reynolds die of a broken heart?
Well, I mean, when we broke the news about her death, we had talked to Todd, and he told us, she said before the stroke, shortly before the stroke yesterday, she said, I miss her so much, I want to be with Carrie. Now, we have talked to, doctors and all sorts of people, and there's grief is connected to stress. Debbie had several strokes, we're told, this year, and was in failing health. And, do you call it a broken heart? Well, yes, because the grief brings stress, which brings on the stroke. And so we've actually talked to medical professionals who are telling us today this is not kind of an outlandish theory, and this happens quite a bit. I mean, I'm sure you've heard stories where people were married for 50 years and one spouse dies shortly thereafter the other one does.
Yeah, and Harvey, talk to us a little bit how they had separated for a while. They were close, then they had separated, became estranged, and then towards the end they were very close again, right?
Let me tell you how close they are, Eric. They shared the same driveway. They actually lived on a compound where Carrie and Debbie were next door to each other, and Todd had a home on the same property. I think it was like 5 acres, but in Beverly Hills. But they saw each other every day, or if they didn't see each other, they would at least talk to each other every day. They had a difficult relationship, but they always came back to each other, and they were joined at the hip ultimately, and you could just tell by Debbie's reaction that whatever damage had been done over the years had been significantly repaired.
Harvey, one is Shakespearean tragedy. You look at the two of them. Debbie Reynolds, Singing in the Rain, the clip we played, she was 19 years old at the time. Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, 19 years old.
I mean, there are parallel paths to their lives, and they both did multiple things. It's funny, Debbie Reynolds has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, one for, I believe, one for music and one for movies. So they were both prolific. I mean, Carrie, for crying out loud, is an author, and she's an actress, and she's a producer, and, she did so much in her life, and, really touched every facet of Hollywood. So both of them had a lot in common.
Yeah, and Harvey, also this, Debbie Reynolds had a really, really rough relationship life. Her first husband, Eddie Fisher, left her. She blamed herself. I saw an interview with her. She blamed herself for picking the wrong types of men. And then later, a businessman, Harry Carl, I believe, squandered all her money. This is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, she said she was bad at choosing men. I will say, you mentioned Eddie Fisher, and remember, Eddie Fisher left Debbie Reynolds to be with Elizabeth Taylor, who was Debbie Reynolds' best friend, and even Carrie kind of referred to them as the OG Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, Angelina Jolie. So she even joked about that on occasion, and there are some parallels there as well.
Yeah, so she came back from a lot of hardships. This is one she seemed to not be able to come back from. It's heartbreaking. Talk to us. I know, Harvey, we've seen each other quite a few times recently. Alan Thicke passes away. George Michael passes away. Carrie Fisher passes away.
Prince, Muhammad Ali.
What is it about 2016? It was a rough year.
Well, it's funny because we had the discussion in the room yesterday after Debbie Reynolds died, and I was saying, isn't it kind of like this every year? And then all of a sudden everybody said, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, and they started bringing up all these stories. And they're right. I mean, I am wrong. This seems an exceptional year, especially for celebrity deaths. But wow, when you go through the list, it's daunting.
Okay, last question before I let you go. What happens with the Star Wars, the episodes that, number one, she's already got on tape an episode, but going further, what's the plan?
Well, 8 is in the can. She's already wrapped 8, so that will go as planned. Now, there were future Star Wars planned where Carrie was going to have some involvement, and that may need some changing as a result, obviously, of her death. But 8, she will be in it. It will be there.
All right, Harvey, thank you very much. Best to Charles, too, by the way, my friend.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, and there's planned as the factor moves along this evening. Bristol Palin takes on Hollywood, calling celebrities afraid to perform at the Trump inauguration, quote, sissies. Also, President Obama leaving behind a legacy of divisiveness. We'll have analysis. We hope you stay tuned for those reports.